What I'm about to reveal to you will leave you speechless. This message comes from Thoth, the keeper of ancient wisdom, and it may change the way you see your life forever. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because if you miss even one line, you might lose the key that Thoth himself left for those who are ready to awaken. Before we begin, go to the comments right now and write, "I am ready to listen to Thoth." This is your declaration to the universe. And don't forget to leave your like. It shows me that you are truly ready to receive this wisdom. Thoth, the timeless scribe of the gods, the master of wisdom who left us the emerald tablets, has always spoken through symbols, riddles, and mysteries. But among all of his teachings, there is one message he called the last warning. It is not a warning of fear. It is not about destruction or punishment. It is a warning for your soul, a reminder that in the chaos of human striving, we may lose the very thing we came here to discover. He says, in a world where everyone is doing, building, chasing, and fighting, there will come a moment when action itself becomes the barrier, when force blinds the eye of the spirit, and when control suffocates the miracle. This warning is about the greatest trap of our time, the addiction to endless doing. We chase money, love, success, validation, knowledge. We push, we strive, we try to control every outcome. But Thoth whispers, the universe does not move through force. It responds to alignment. It opens its doors to stillness. Thoth teaches that when you stop forcing, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The unseen powers of the universe awaken not when you demand, but when you allow. When you breathe, when you release the need to control, when you trust the flow of the divine current, this is when miracles appear. Think of the seed. A seed does not force itself into becoming a tree. It rests in the soil. It allows the universe, the water, the light, and the earth to do their sacred work. Only in surrender does it grow. And so it is with you. Thoth's last warning is not about stopping life. It is about stopping resistance, stopping the illusion that you are the sole controller of destiny. Close your eyes right now and take a deep breath. Feel how the air enters your lungs without you forcing it. Your body breathes, your heart beats, your soul exists without your command. This is the miracle that Thoth wants you to see. The universe already knows what you need. But only when you step back from constant noise, only when you allow silence, will you hear its voice. This is the moment when divine guidance flows into your life. This is when synchronicities appear. This is when doors open without struggle. So here is the final question that Thoth leaves for you. Will you keep running, forcing, and exhausting yourself in illusions? Or will you step into the mystery of stillness and presence, where the universe itself works on your behalf? The last warning is not about fear. It is about awakening. The awakening that happens when you do less and allow more. When you stop trying to control and instead align your spirit with the eternal. Now, if these words reached your soul, write again in the comments, I am ready to listen to Thoth. This is not just a phrase. It is your signal to the universe that you are prepared to awaken. And if you want me to share more of Thoth's hidden teachings, make sure you subscribe and stay connected, because this is only the beginning. The last warning has been given. The rest is up to you. Most humans live as if life were a race, constantly moving, constantly reaching, constantly fearing that stopping even for a moment would mean falling behind. They seek success, recognition, pleasure, or even enlightenment as if these treasures were scattered outside of themselves, waiting to be found. Yet Thoth, the divine scribe of the ancient mysteries, reveals a truth that shatters this restless illusion. True power lies not in endless action, but in the sacred art of stillness. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the essence of it. It is not laziness, nor passivity, nor the denial of movement. Rather, it is the recognition that within silence, within the pause, between one breath and the next, lies the hidden gateway to infinite energy. When you are still, you are no longer fighting against the natural current of existence. You are no longer a branch thrashing against the river's flow. You become the river itself. Thoth teaches that the greatest miracle humanity can experience is not an external sign, not a sudden flash of divine intervention written across the skies. The true miracle is internal awakening. It is the precise moment when the human being ceases to resist. When the walls of tension, fear, and control collapse, the energy that has always been within begins to move freely. Your thoughts, once scattered and chaotic, begin to harmonize. Your intentions, once fueled by anxiety and desire, align with a deeper wisdom. Your consciousness, once imprisoned by illusion, begins to mirror the order of the cosmos itself. In stillness, you no longer seek to dominate life. You allow life to reveal its own perfection through you. This is the great paradox. When you stop striving, everything comes to you. When you stop grasping, the universe places in your hands what is truly yours. When you cease to force reality, reality begins to unfold with grace. The universe, Thoth whispers, has never been against you. It has always been waiting, patiently, silently, for the moment of your surrender. In stillness, you stop interfering with the grand orchestration already set in motion. The infinite intelligence that guides the stars, that breathes through galaxies, that pulses through the veins of time itself, begins to guide your path effortlessly. This is why the sages of old retreated into silence. This is why initiates were taught to meditate in darkness, to listen beyond the noise of the world. For in stillness, the human being touches the eternal. In stillness, you awaken to what has always been present, the boundless field of divine intelligence. Understand this. Stillness is not the emptiness. It is fullness beyond measure. It is the womb of creation itself, the void from which all form arises. To the restless mind, silence appears barren. To the awakened spirit, silence is overflowing with life. Imagine the space between two notes of a melody. Without the pause, there would be no music, only noise. Imagine the moment of breath held between inhalation and exhalation. Without that gap, there would be no rhythm of life, only suffocation. Likewise, stillness is the sacred interval that gives meaning to existence. It is the pause where the miracle of creation happens. Thoth reminds us, doing nothing creates everything. This does not mean neglecting your responsibilities or abandoning your path. It means realizing that the deepest transformations do not arise from force, but from alignment. The tree does not grow by straining, but by simply being rooted in its nature. The sun does not burn itself out trying to shine. It radiates effortlessly because shining is what it is. So too, when you embody stillness, you stop trying to become something, and you remember that you already are. The miracle is not in what you achieve, but in what you awaken to. The miracle happens in the gap, in that sacred space between your expectations and the infinite intelligence of existence. When the noise of desire fades, when the resistance of fear dissolves, when the constant movement of the restless mind grows silent, the truth is revealed. And in that truth, the miracle of stillness awakens. So what does do nothing really mean? It does not mean laziness, it does not mean indifference, and it is not about giving up on life. To do nothing, in the wisdom of Thoth, is to release the chains of control, those invisible threads the ego desperately tries to tighten around every moment. It means loosening your grip on reality, not because you do not care, but because you finally trust that existence itself knows better than your fears. When you stop forcing outcomes, when you stop obsessing over how things should unfold, you enter into a different rhythm. A rhythm not dictated by human anxiety, but by the eternal flow of the cosmos. This is what Thoth reveals. Surrender is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. It is aligning yourself with the river of life, instead of splashing frantically against its current. Think about how much energy humans waste in resistance. We cling, we struggle, we fight against what is. We demand certainty where only mystery exists. And yet, when has control ever guaranteed peace? It never does. It breeds more chaos, more noise, more fragmentation of the soul. To witness life, however, is entirely different. To witness means to observe without judgment, to allow what arises, to recognize that every moment is carrying a hidden teaching. The act of witnessing transforms you from prisoner to participant, from slave of outcomes to co-creator with the universe. Thoth whispers through the silence. The universe moves when the ego rests. The fire awakens when the mind is still. This is the paradox. By doing less, you invite more. By softening, you become stronger. By surrendering, you discover freedom. Miracles begin to manifest not with thunder or spectacle, but in subtle alignments that seem almost invisible at first. You may find yourself meeting the right person at the exact right moment. You may stumble upon an opportunity that feels as if it had been waiting for you all along, or perhaps a weight you have carried for years suddenly begins to dissolve, not because you forced its disappearance, but because you stopped clinging to it. This is how the universe responds to surrender. It orchestrates quietly, gently, yet with a wisdom beyond comprehension. The impossible begins to happen, not because you made it happen, but because you allowed space for it to unfold. Stillness is the soil where miracles grow, and surrender is the water that nourishes that soil. Without them, we remain trapped in barren ground, planting seeds of fear and doubt. With them, life becomes fertile again, ready to bloom with synchronicity, wonder, and transformation. But make no mistake, surrender is not a one-time act. It is a continuous practice, a daily offering of your ego back into the hands of the eternal. Every time you feel the urge to control, to push, to manipulate outcomes, you are invited again into stillness, again into trust, again into the simple awareness that existence is already holding you. To witness means to breathe into the mystery. To surrender means to dance with the unknown. Together, they open the gates to what Thoth calls the silent miracle, the awakening of the divine intelligence within you that knows exactly where you are meant to go. So the question becomes, can you rest enough to see? Can you soften enough to allow? Can you become still enough to witness? For when you do, life itself begins to reveal its hidden hand, and in that sacred unveiling, you realize that the greatest miracle was never out there, waiting to be earned. The greatest miracle was always here, the awakening of your own consciousness as a witness to the eternal dance. And so, we arrive at the heart of Thoth's teaching. Miracles are not about bending reality to your will, but about aligning with the greater intelligence of the cosmos. To do nothing is not laziness. It is sacred trust. It is the silence of the mind that allows the eternal voice to speak. It is surrender, not in weakness, but in supreme strength. When you release control, you do not lose power. You gain access to a force far beyond the human mind. This is the secret Thoth guards. The miracle is already within you, waiting to be unveiled. If these words touched your soul, let this be the moment of your own awakening. Take a breath, be still, allow life to unfold in its perfect rhythm. And if you wish to keep walking this path of wisdom with me, subscribe to this channel, activate the bell, and join our community of seekers. Together, we will continue unveiling the mysteries, from Thoth's sacred teachings to the timeless truths of the soul. Because the journey does not end here. It begins now, in your stillness, in your surrender, in your awakening.